Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Monday, September 9th, 2024. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. We have lost a giant, James Earl Jones. That stunning, booming voice, of course, actor. He's played in all sorts of movies and television shows. Claudine, Bingo Long, Traveling All-Stars, Jack Johnson, you name it. He's now an ancestor. He passed with the age of 93. Republican Vice Presidential candidate Senator J.D. Vance is spreading lies about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. The racist MAGA folks continue their racist agenda. Was Tyreek Hill, Miami Dolphins wide receiver, stopped because he was black? He was also punched and handcuffed before Sunday's season opening game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. One cop is on administrative leave. We'll show you a variety of the videos from bystanders. And, of course, the police union defends the cops. The Congressional Black Caucus releases the first corporate accountability report on DEI. CBC Chair Stephen Horsford will join us to discuss it. In anticipation of tomorrow night's presidential debate, black education advocates are demanding that the two candidates, Donald Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris, and ABC News, focus on the crisis in black student achievement. Dr. Steve Perry will join us on today's show. Plus, federal trial of the 3 Tennessee officers accused of beating Tyree Nichols began today, and the Justice Department indicts a white terrorist group who plotted to kill government officials. I told y'all there were hate crimes laws that targeted not just Asians. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered. On the Black Star Network, let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. Yeah, it's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
James Earl Jones, the acclaimed actor and voice of Darth Vader, CNN, star of numerous movies and TV shows, has passed away. Jones' agent, Barry McPherson, confirmed Jones's death and said the 93-year-old died this morning at his home in New York State. The cause was not immediately apparent. The pioneer Jones, who worked into his 80s and who retired from public life about a year ago, won 2 Emmys, a Golden Globe, 2 Tony Awards, a Grammy, a National Medal of Arts, and the Kennedy Center Honors. The only thing he did not win was an Oscar. But he was given an honorary Oscar and a special Tony for Lifetime Achievement, which means that, of course, he's an EGOT. Folks, in 2022, a Broadway theater was renamed in his honor. James Earl Jones is being remembered by so many people, so many actors and folks all over Hollywood. A little bit earlier, I was looking at some tweets that were posted by actor Wendell Pierce, who, of course, stars in stage, film, as well as the big screen. He posted a couple of things, and he said, "This man was a living embodiment of artistry, integrity, creativity, and dignity. James Earl Jones is the sole reason I became an actor. He stirred a vocation in me that gave voice to my unsung heart songs. By example, he led me on the exploration of my own personal humanity and the study of human behavior in others and the intangible, ever-present soul. He was once in a generation talent that has left an enormous legacy in American culture." You think about all of the different films and TV shows that he starred in. It is an absolute long, long list. Of course, we can go back to him, of course, playing Jack Johnson, of course, the first black heavyweight boxing champion. We can think about him with, again, Richard Pryor, as well as Billy D. Williams in the Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars. We think about Clear and Present Danger, those movies, thinking about Coming to America. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. He was in comedies. He was in dramas. We think about Claudine. I mean, again, you name it, he can do it. Field of Dreams. And the amazing thing, if we think about it, James Earl Jones, of course, overcame a serious stutter. And, of course, the younger generation will remember him as the voice of Mustafa in The Lion King. And so you're talking about just an extraordinary figure who hailed from Mississippi, born in 1931, who overcame a whole lot to become one of the most admired actors of our time. And so we certainly pay tribute to James Earl Jones. A statement from his agent said he passed this morning surrounded by his loved ones. He was a great man. And so that was the statement. This is in the USA Today, and that was his representative, Barry McPherson. And this was a quote here. He did an interview in 2010. He said he was talking about all the things he was famous in. He said, "I've done a King Lear too. Do the kids know that? No, they have the Darth Vader poster to sign, but it's okay. When you appear before an audience, you learn to accept whatever they give you. Hopefully they give you their ears," as Anthony said. On Wednesday, folks, we will pay tribute to James Earl Jones the way we only can do by dedicating an hour to him. Of course, we had a lot of interviews already set up for today. Tomorrow night, we have our, of course, debate coverage. The 6-hour debate coverage we'll be doing tomorrow right here on the Black Star Network. And so we wanted to make sure that we didn't give short shrift to James Earl Jones. And so we will pay him his proper tribute on this show on Wednesday. As I said, tomorrow, we have our debate coverage. It will be our live show. In addition, we will be partnering with the Congressional Black Caucus. They'll be holding their watch party here with us. More than 20 members will be joining us, including Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, Congressman Stephen Horsford, the chair, as well as Congressman Jim Clyburn and others. And so if y'all want the blackest, boldest, seasoned chicken coverage, y'all come here. And so, again, we'll pay tribute to James Earl Jones on Wednesday. Tomorrow, our coverage begins at 7 p.m. We will have pre-coverage. We will carry the ABC presidential debate and have our post-coverage as well. And so, again, we want to give proper tribute to James Earl Jones. That will take place on Wednesday. As I said, James Earl Jones, dead at the age of 93. All right, folks, let's talk about a huge story that took place on yesterday involving Miami Dolphins 5-time All-Pro wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Now, yesterday was the beginning of, NFL season began on Thursday, but for most teams, it was yesterday. Miami Dolphins were playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then reports came out before the game that Hill was arrested by Miami-Dade police officers. Well, a number of people on social media begin to post these videos. Do me a favor, guys. Go back to this video here. I want you to hear what these officers are saying to Tyreek Hill. So let's start this video over and let's play the video with audio. So let's play them all back to back so we can hear all of them. Go right ahead.
Keep the window down. Keep the window down. I'm gonna get you
of the car. Get out of the car right now. We tell you, do nothing to do. You understand? Not what you want, but what we tell you. You're a little fucking confused. Too late. We tell you, do nothing to do. You understand? Not what you want, but what we tell you. You're a little fucking confused. Too late.
What the fuck?
It's Tyreek Hill.
Dylan, no. I'm trying to get on video.
They put him in handcuffs. Oh, fuck.
No, that's actually Tyreek.
When I step up on the scene,
They arrested Reed. That's crazy. Oh, that's fucking Calais Campbell right there.
It's that Z shit. Pull up in a demon on guard. Looking like I still do fraud.
Yo,
Flying private jet.
bro.
Tyreek on power, man.
That's Tyreek Hill. What? Bro, what the hell is going on?
If you guys want to pass, cross the street, go that way.
This will be all over ESPN.
I know, right? What's up, man?
I'm speeding too. They bought some speed. Hey guys, Cam. They know what a 720 this is. Hey, they got my phone too. Oh, no, I got my phone.
As I said, the investigation continues. Now, passerbys were recording that particular video there. Miami-Dade Police Department Director Stephanie Daniels told a Miami Herald reporter in a brief interview that body camera footage from the roadside detention, which has not been publicly released yet, led to temporarily transferring one of the officers to administrative duties. She said Monday morning, the county's police department, now, first of all, on Monday, the county's police department declined to release the body cam footage, citing the ongoing investigation into the incident. Now, after Sunday's game, Hill said this about being arrested.
Right now, I'm still trying to put it all together. So I'm not going to give you a version that I still don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to be able to use this platform to say, like, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill, bro? Like, worst case scenario, you know, because it's crazy. Like, I want to be a cop one day. I got a state trooper, had all that, you know, so I got a lot of respect for cops, man. But obviously, you know, everybody has bad apples in every situation, you know, so I want to be able to, you know, use this platform, you know, to figure out a way to, like, flip this and, you know, make it a positive on both ends, on my end and then also Miami-Dade, you know, so that way we can team together and, you know, do something positive for the community, because that's what it's all about, bro. It wasn't disrespectful, you know, because my mom didn't raise me that way, didn't cuss, didn't do none of that. So, like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out, man. I'm just glad that my teammates were there to, like, support me in that situation, because I felt alone, you know, and when they showed up, it made me realize that we got a good team this year, dog. For them to, like, put their life on the line. You know what I'm saying? So it was amazing to see, man.
All right, folks. Now, of course, as you expect, the police union, the South Florida Police Benevolent Association, issued their statement. No shot through defeating the cops. Before the Dolphins game yesterday, an incident occurred when Tyreek Hill was placed in handcuffs before being released. First, to be clear, at no time was he ever under arrest. He was briefly detained for officer safety after driving in a manner in which he was putting himself and others in great risk of danger. Upon being stopped, Mr. Hill was not immediately cooperative with officers on scene who, pursuant to policy and for their immediate safety, placed Mr. Hill in handcuffs. Mr. Hill, still uncooperative, refused to sit on the ground and was therefore redirected to the ground. Once the situation was sorted out within a few minutes, Mr. Hill was issued 2 traffic citations and was free to leave. We would like to stretch to the community to use this as an opportunity. Strolling in late. Strolling in late. Bring your little late ass in here. Everybody else on time. Everybody else on time. But he bring his ass in here dressed like an Omega. Coming in here with your late ass. Man, go sit your ass down. Go sit down. Coming in here late. We told you to be at 6:45. He rolled up in here at 7:40. Sit your ass down. Sit down. He always late. He always late. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Y'all come mic his late ass up. Come in here. Man, everybody here. Everybody here. Mustafa here. Greg Carr here. Monique here. Rebecca here. Even here. Reese here.
Next shot.
What? Even Nola here on time.
I'm in the crossfire.
I'm just saying. Steve, go ahead. Go ahead. See, there you go. Just walk in here late.
I told Reese not to sit there. It's gonna be a try. Yeah.
Nope.
Can I go first?
Nope.
I got some shit.
Those who are last are not first. Every Omega can tell you that.
Wow.
All right then. So yeah, I said it. I said it. We taking shots off the back. We taking shots off the back. So as I said, Rebecca Carruthers here, Fair Election Center, Monique Presley. We got Dr. Greg Carr, Howard University, Mustafa Santiago Ali, a former senior advisor for the EPA, Reese Colbert, host of the Reese Colbert Show, Sirius XM Radio. We got Nola Haynes coming from Dr. Nola Haynes, coming from her national security hangout. What? You didn't bring no gumbo? Nope. Then, of course, we got, because you late. Then we got late-ass Scott Bolden. We got late-ass Scott Bolden. Sit down. You ain't even mic'd up yet. Stop talking. So look at him. He just coming in here late. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and jump. Right, you good. Sit down. Sit down with your Detroit Gators on. See, yeah. So let's see, I told y'all it's gonna be a black show. Some folk here LCP time. Let's jump right into this. Rebecca, I'm gonna start with you. Donald Trump whining and complaining. This was supposed to be a debate between President Joe Biden and Donald Trump. He drops out of the re-election campaign. He endorses Vice President Kamala Harris. And I'm gonna say this here when they actually get here. The only reason we are here tonight with her is because of the Congressional Black Caucus. All these Democrats, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, President Barack Obama, a whole bunch of Democrats, they were not calling for her to be the nominee. It was the CBC that held firm and held the line that for over 23 days, and then that positioned it for her to be the nominee, for her to be on that stage tonight.
Well, tonight is his worst nightmare. He's going up against a black female prosecutor. And we know so far in this election cycle, it's been black female prosecutors who've held him accountable. And so that's what we're going to see on stage tonight.
The thing that jumps out here when you talk about black female prosecutors, right, he ain't been doing well with them, Monique. And they've been kicking his behind. He's been whining and complaining. He was calling Tish James racist. He's called Fonnie Willis racist. He goes to NABJ and questions the blackness of Vice President Kamala Harris. Of course, there was the back and forth. The Biden folks agreed to have the mics turned off, no audience. But the Harris campaign wanted the mics turned on, but the Trump campaign insisted absolutely not. He was like, I'm fine with it, but they overruled him because they know how unruly that fool can be.
Absolutely. And they were right to try to get it changed so that America could get, and I don't know if you guys remember from the first time, I never agreed with that mics off foolishness. I think that the point of a debate, one of the things that you're supposed to be judging is leadership qualities. And if you don't have enough restraint to close your mouth when it's not your turn, the way we teach first graders, then you have no business running a country. And so, no, we will not get to see that tonight. But Rebecca is right. acknowledge all the wonderful Black women sitting here. No offense to the fellas, but winning with Black women is what we're doing right now.
You're not going to acknowledge the dude. I mean, you can acknowledge the sisters first. And then you don't go with no offense to the fellas. I mean, you could say, glad to see the fellas too, except Scott.
Okay.
We have said
I mean, obviously, if I was glad to see anybody, I'm gonna be glad to see my Howard Law Bison.
Yeah, you didn't say that before the show.
I'm glad to see. I didn't say nothing about you, Scott. Don't let him lie to you now.
Trump or him.
So, he said, I didn't say nothing about you before the show. I'm not being honest. But my point is this. This is an opportunity for redemption for this country. This is an opportunity, and the reason why it's a Black woman is because it's righteous for it to be a Black woman. The reason why the prosecutors who are taking him to task is because it is the reversal of fortune. He represents everything that happened to us, and we represent everything we became anyway. And tonight we get an opportunity to see what it looks like when a Black woman who was done no favors, who was given no special treatment, who was born of immigrants in this country, who had no wealth to speak of, comes to reach a height yet unknown. She is one of one. Yes, not gonna be the last one, but she's damn sure the first. And I am excited about the prospect of seeing that in action.
Oh, the immigrant point, Mustafa, you got Republicans who are literally trashing Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, advancing that lie. Not sure how wise that is. You got 300,000 Haitians who are in Florida. That's a huge voting block. But it also goes to show you the white fear these folks have. PBS actually interviewed a CEO of a factory who said, oh, no, these folks come to work on time. They work hard. He said, and our people, they don't. And J.D. Vance has been pushing the lie. Elon Musk has been pushing the lie. And it goes to show you how racist this party is. Last week, they were trashing Venezuelans. Now they're trying to trash Haitians. And so if all these immigrants who consider voting for Trump, they don't care about y'all.
You know, they try and use these racist tropes to hide the fact that they have not done anything in relationship to moving forward on immigration. And when I say they, I mean the Republicans. What they continue to do is to move away from it. They don't honor the fact that our folks who from the diaspora who come here work incredibly hard. They build businesses and they help our communities also. So we have a moment now where Vice President Harris can put a spotlight on not only job creation that happens inside of our indigenous Black community, if you want to say it that way, but also the opportunities that we have moving forward. The 16 million jobs, she has an opportunity to show how we can make sure that no matter who's in this country, wherever you come from, that there is opportunity for you.
The reason I think, Reese, about that's important is because Trump talked about bringing manufacturing back. He didn't. Right. Biden, Harris did. And what's happening in Springfield, Ohio is a perfect example. All those white folks were leaving. If it wasn't those 20,000 Haitians coming in, the jobs would not be coming in. You wouldn't see the housing growth. And I text an anchor at one of the networks, and I said, I've been telling y'all this for now a decade. White folks are losing their minds because of immigrants. But guess what? Those white folks are not being born. I said, so white folks in the Midwest had better understand y'all are going to have dying towns and cities if y'all don't embrace immigration.
Yeah, let's be honest, though. There is a segment of the Black community that has a problem with immigration as well. Yeah. And that part of the community has been very loud, very vocal. I don't think they're anywhere close to the majority, but perhaps this whole dust up with the disinformation around so-called Haitian woman eating a cat.
And actually didn't happen in Springfield. That happened in actually Canton, Ohio.
Right.
And that was not a Haitian woman.
She wasn't even Haitian.
But it goes to show you how the lie gets spread.
Exactly. And I think that maybe something like this and the way that they're pivoting now away from the Northern Triangle migrants and away from the Mexican migrants to now Haitians, I think if you connect the dots, it's only a matter of time before Haitian becomes a pretext for harassing Black people, if you want to call it FBA, ADOS, whatever the situation may be. And so I'm hoping that with the Republicans quadrupling down on pure racism, it's going to backfire like hell. There's a big difference between midterm strategy with migrant caravans and DEI and CRT and all that bullshit, and with a presidential election where you have a historic candidate that is galvanizing young people and people of color.
Greg Rich is right. You do have, listen, I can go back to my host of my morning show at the WVON, every time the immigration came up, I mean, you had a lot of black folks who were against it, and I had black folks trying to attack me. And I keep saying, you look at the numbers. Without immigration, our economy does not bounce back the way it did. You can't convince much of these people, but also a lot of these black people who whine and complaining, they might want to understand, how did many migrants get to a lot of these cities like Chicago? They were shipped there by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, by Governor Ron DeSantis, because they were purposely trying to drive a wedge between black folks and Democrats, and using Mexican and other migrants as a pawn in that game.
Absolutely, and it's a class issue. I mean, those at the bottom of the pyramid are trained to fight each other, and you're absolutely right. I mean, we know this. The numbers don't lie. Those Republican mayors in those cities, and there've been a number of reports that over the last month they've said we welcome the immigrants. We can't say that out loud because our national brand is fear, but we want them with us. We see that. But I mean, we all know this. We've been talking about it a lot, and you've been talking about it consistently. This isn't about logic. This is about 78 million people voted for this man because they're racist, many of them. They don't care about the logic. And tonight, is it going to be a debate? No. I mean, clearly there's no debate. Only one person is qualified to be president of the United States if this were logical. The other guy either should be in jail, he's a climate denier, he said, I'm going to keep stop people from voting, I want to be a dictator. In any scenario where there was logic in play, this would be over right now. Now the white press, the white media trying to keep this as a horse race, saying she didn't get a bounce from the convention, she won't give interviews. What are you doing? This man is a madman. His brain is leaking out of his ear. He didn't get shot because his ear healed in 5 seconds. All of that puts it here.
I saw a great photo. They said Evander Holyfield's ear still hasn't healed. It's been more than a decade, but he is healed real quick.
No question.
Nola, we expect, I wouldn't be shocked. ABC News, you're going to hear lots of questions about Ukraine. You're going to hear about Russia. You're going to hear about Israel and Gaza. You're going to hear about the border as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that takes up a significant chunk of this 90-minute debate.
Absolutely. And it's going to be Trump trying to obfuscate in the way that he does. I'm not sure if he knows exactly what that means, but he does.
He can't spell that word. I mean, come on now. He can't pronounce it. He damn sure can't spell it.
But here are truths. The truths are, many of the reasons why we are where we are right now is because a lot of the foreign policy decisions from the Trump administration, namely the Doha deal regarding Afghanistan, namely
where they've been trying to blame Biden and Harris for it, as if they didn't negotiate it.
Absolutely. It was get out of Afghanistan for no terrorism. And I have been banging the drum on this. As we sit here tonight, there are 24 terrorist organizations operating in Afghanistan right now. So the deal did not work. Right. So let's go ahead and
then he also wanted to bring 5,000. He also ordered them to release the 5,000 Taliban. Yeah. He wanted to bring the Taliban to Camp David on the anniversary of September 11th tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. All those things are true. This man has absolutely no respect for democracy. He has no respect for the history of lives that are lost in the line of duty. And I absolutely, when I think about 9/11, when I think about first responders, when I think about people that died in the Twin Towers, those are lives lost in this terrorism fight, right? So those were lives lost in a different form of duty, but those were absolute lives lost. And this man has no respect for the legacy of lost lives. And so that's one aspect. And then, the situation that we're in, the Middle East is in with Iran in play. That's the Trump administration pulling out the Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA. That happened. That is a real fact. That helped destabilize the entire region. So he can come all he wants to. He can lie and say that VP was the border czar. No, she was not. She was not the border czar, boo. She was tasked with seeing what was going on and to figure out if there's some sort of diplomatic mitigation that could possibly help assuage the situation. That's the truth, right? So he's going to try and come with, we're in these wars, and if I was the president, we wouldn't be in these wars. Wait a minute, boo-boo. Because you were the president, we are in these wars. And let's not get it twisted. Russia was in Ukraine in 2014, and you did what now? Nothing. But make it easier for 2022 to happen by you going against NATO, talking about, NATO has to pay the bill and NATO is the reason why A, B, C, and D. All that rhetoric has contributed to where we are today. The trade war that he got us in with China
is why we are in one of the most contentious moments right now with China. So she needs to keep knee on neck, and I hope that she pounds those 4 issues repeatedly.
Scott, June 27th debate, Donald Trump lied more than 50 times in 90 minutes. There was absolutely no fact-checking by Jake Tapper and Dana Bash on CNN. I mean, they just allow lies to just be told. Yeah. I doubt David Muir and Lindsey Davis allows it to happen, but the reality is the VP has to be prepared for that to happen again. In that debate, President Biden essentially was looking to them to correct the lies. No, you can't expect them to do it. She's going to have to do it. And I think, and I've been saying this, and she has to literally, I believe, turn to him and say, well, you need to stop lying.
No.
See, here's, I love all of these different ways mainstream media wants to phrases they want to use. LIE is real basic. Whether you're in the Midwest, Southwest, Southeast, whether you're in Harlem, whether you're in Compton, everybody know your ass lying. She ain't gonna say your ass lying, but I think it's important to literally call them a lie, because what it also then does, it forces all the media folks to have to acknowledge the lie. Fact checking after the fact is a waste of time. You got to fact check in real time. He just said that's a lie. We actually produced more oil than he did. He just lied. Black unemployment on the Biden-Harris lower than on the Trump. That's a lie. You got to call that thing a thing.
Yeah, and the cross-examination, and she's a trial lawyer, the cross-examination is to pull up that mental file, commit those facts, and as you say, punch and counterpunch with facts, because he's going to be talking about hyperbole, and he's going to be a bully, and he may even stalk her, and she can come up with whatever line she wants, but instead of matching him at hyperbole on his playing field, right? Bring him up to your playing field and counterpunching with the facts without getting into hyperbole. She can do an opening and introduce herself to America, that 28% who want to know more about her. The direct examination is about the accomplishments and her policy. The cross is the counterpunch with facts if it's hyperbole. And then the closing argument is when she finishes him off. Because she's a trial lawyer, and if I were her, I would have prepared just like I'm preparing for a case.
To the women on this panel, listen, we already know he's going to disrespect a woman. He disrespected Hillary Clinton in that campaign as well. But this election is different. Dobbs' decision, when you look at the voting numbers, young Black women, young Latino women, when you look at white women, the Missouri Supreme Court has overruled the Republicans. They put the abortion issue back on the ballot. You have that on the ballot in Florida. You have I think it's in Arkansas as well. And so this may very well be, look, Trump got 53% of white women in 2016, a similar number in 2020. That may be different. If she's able to take it from 53 to 50 among women, that's the election.
Yeah.
I mean, we're really going to have to watch to see what white women do. Are white women going to vote their interest, or are they not going to vote their interest? And what's interesting watching the 2020 cycle, it was a lot of white women who didn't like Kamala Harris. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do this election, because the stakes are higher. And now it's simply her versus Trump. Versus during the 2020 primary, there were other women they could choose from. But what was interesting, even with white people and white women in my circle on campaigns, I kept asking, tell me the specific thing that you don't like about candidate Kamala Harris. And none of them could articulate it. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do.
Well, white women didn't like Hillary. So that's the thing. They don't like other women. I don't think that the path to victory is necessarily trying to get that 1 or 2 extra % of white women. It's galvanizing the women in your base. I mean, the registration rates the registration skyrocketed around Black women. The registration skyrocketed around younger people, around even Black men. People want to talk about as if she has a Black men issue. And so this debate, I'm interested to see, does she try to have a do no harm, neutral, run up the middle, don't alienate anybody strategy, or if she uses it as an opportunity to galvanize the people that are already in her corner and make sure that she gets that Biden-Harris coalition from 2020, the record number of votes, over 80-something million votes. They beat Trump by a margin of 8 million votes. Does she stick with that base, or does she try to appeal to the Liz Cheneys and the Adam Kinzingers and all of those people and try to go for the mocha latte, yoga pants, minivan driving white suburban women? I'm interested to see that. I'm not saying that one is wrong versus the other, but I think that we will be able to be very clear on what her strategy is.
But doesn't she have to do both, though?
Well,
I mean, you've got 10 to 15% of those who just are staying in the independent or non-committed piece because they either don't know enough about her and they can't stand Trump, but they're just not there yet, right? So they're fighting for that 10 to 15%. Tonight, I think for her base, she's got to prosecute the facts against Donald Trump without coming off as angry, right? At the same time, she's got to be able to appeal to the middle and say to those 10 or 15% of those non-committed, it's okay to vote for me. I'm not the same candidate I was 3 or 4 years ago. I've evolved, I've grown, and she isn't. See, the Republicans still want to run against what they ran against with Biden and what they ran against 4 years ago, who she was. She's not that candidate anymore. She's got to explain that. But if she does that, and that's a whole lot of doing, just based on my comments, that's a big challenge for her, but she's got to figure out a way to do it in a sufficient way that'll move her 1, 2, 3, 4 points ahead after this debate. Because there may not be another debate, which is
Right. But let me go to data, because one of the issues that I had, and I raised it on the show, when people were calling for Biden to drop out, when you mentioned the Biden coalition. One, we have to accept this reality. And I say this to Black people all the time, Latino all the time. 70% of the electorate in 2020 was white.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about, people talk about, oh man, Biden Harris won because of Black people. But we also have to be realistic. 70% of the entire electorate was white.
Yeah.
And they didn't vote Democrat.
Well, right. But
the majority of them didn't vote Democrat.
But this is what data important. Go to my iPad, Henry. So if you go to 2016, what you say? If you
go to that iPad,
no, I'm just trying to tell you.
The truth is on that iPad.
If you damn right. Because if you go to 2016, look right here. 2016, white men, Trump 62, Hillary 32. White women, Hillary 45, Trump 47. Now, this is the difference. This is the difference in 2020. Biden got 40% white men plus 8 over Hillary. And if you look at 46, she only got 45. He was plus 1 with white women. One of the concerns now, you look at Black right here. So you look at the total numbers right here. Black men 87-12, Black women 95-5, Hispanic men 57-40, Hispanic women 61-37. If you look at data right now, she has been steadily climbing among Latino voters. You look at the data, you see how she is dramatically improving among Black voters as well.
Right.
The biggest issue that I kept talking about, she has to maintain the Biden white coalition.
Right.
And that meant, Mustafa, that meant white suburban voters, white college voters, but also when you look at the percentage of white non-college, he did better among them as well. And so those things absolutely matter. And so when you're talking about Wisconsin, you're talking about Pennsylvania, you're talking about Michigan, but you're also talking about North Carolina. And so when you start talking about other demos, Native Americans, Latinos going to be huge in Arizona, Latinos huge in Nevada, Black voters and Hispanic voters huge in Georgia, rural Black voters in Georgia and North Carolina are going to be crucial. But we just can't underestimate the reality. If she maintains that 40% with white voters, then she sees the increase with Black and Latinos, it's a repeat of what Obama did in 2008, and that's the path to victory.
Yeah, and she has to let people know that she sees them, that she feels them, and that she has a plan moving forward. So for all the groups that we just talked about, she has a narrative because the Biden-Harris administration was able to create millions of new jobs. They were able to make sure that we move forward on housing. Now we're also making sure that we're addressing the inflation, and people are now going to hopefully be able to address what's going on with the food crisis that currently is in place. She has a plan for all of these things. She has a plan also for those folks who have lost jobs, who no longer have health care, or they're under, they don't have as much health care as they need. The Biden-Harris administration has been able to do that. So she brings her flavor in and letting people know that she actually understands the dynamics that are going on. Because when you look at Vice President Harris And when you look at Donald Trump, there's a completely different set of values.
Yep.
Right? She actually understands what it's like to have to look for housing when her mother was searching and trying to find affordable housing. Donald Trump has never had to do that. Donald Trump has never been to a supermarket. Donald Trump has never had to put gas
But he damn sure kept black folk out of houses.
Most definitely.
He's looking for his rental check.
Right. So it is a completely different dynamic. And because of all the investments that they have made, it doesn't matter if you come from Appalachia. Doesn't matter if you come from the Rust Belt. Doesn't matter if you're coming from North Carolina or South Carolina or Georgia. They've been able to actually get resources into the hands of people. If you talk about wanting to create your own business,
and they have
that.
to make that perfectly clear.
She has to.
Because the reality is, Greg, you look at a lot of these towns. Listen, when Obama was president, you take Elkhart, Indiana. His policy saved it. But those folks went for Trump. They didn't say, hey, let me remind y'all, we saved this. And so one of the biggest complaints we've always had is that Biden-Harris, the administration has been horrible at touting themselves. Plies always talked about that. But to me, you have to speak directly to, and you guys actually have to say, okay, him over there, he promised infrastructure week every week. You didn't get it. We passed the biggest bill since Eisenhower. That dude over there promised manufacturing. We actually brought it back. You had, and then I think, to your point, you got to name check this city. Call this mayor, call this county commissioner. Because as the late Joe Madison, God rest his soul, would always say, you got to put it where the ghosts can get it. Talk to folks on that level in this debate tonight.
I mean, it's true. It makes perfect sense. I mean, I agree with you, Scott. I mean, you got to approach this like a prosecutor. You have to do that. But you're not dealing with rational thinkers. Donald Trump is in this game because of who he is. You're not going to convince his voters. And so I guess what I'm saying is, in some ways, this has been building since 1787. In other words, this is a showdown that this country was always going to have to face. Do you want to have a country, or do you want to have white supremacy? This man is a white supremacist. The man is not well mentally, all of those things. So everything we're saying obviously makes perfect sense. It's what Jesse Jackson was saying in the Rainbow Coalition. It's what every candidate, until they kneecapped him with Bill Clinton in the DLC and started trying to get those lost white voters, because they understand to get those lost white voters, you got to raise the white flag. And that is the thing that Donald Trump is rallying his base behind. J.D. Vance should be an insult to every poor white person in this country. Tim Walz is who J.D. Vance pretended he was, but it doesn't matter. They're pushing for this fantasy. They want their women pregnant. They want to have control over all our lives. We'd be back in the plantation. They want to put every immigrant out the country. And this man promises that he'll do that.
Right.
It's not a matter. So I guess finally what I'm saying is, she's got to be a happy warrior. She's got that kind of vibe going on now. I think today is Roy Ayers' birthday. Everybody loves the sunshine. Yeah. So while she's got a smile on her face, she got to roast his ass with a smile on her face and try to goad him into showing these quote unquote undecided voters who she is.
Discipline.
No question. And be
disciplined. Be disciplined because he's going to try to bait her into hyperbole.
But that ain't going to happen. She's cool.
But you got to be disciplined about it, because if you get caught up, if he attacks her on gender or race, it's easy to get caught up in that.
Because he wants her to go there. Nola, go ahead.
She's not that person.
No, go ahead.
No, she's not.
So to Scott's earlier point about not being angry, a Black woman just has to breathe and we are considered angry or aggressive.
Touche.
Right? So for the commander-in-chief who has to command troops, who has to stand up to Putin and Xi, I actually want to see a little aggression. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there.
Yeah.
She don't need to be smiling and tap dancing for me.
Well, I don't mean in the sense of being like goofy. I mean the way that she prosecuted her cases when she was sitting in the Senate and roasting Bill Barr, and it wasn't an anger.
And Kavanaugh and the others.
Exactly, it was serious, but it wasn't kind of pedantic. It wasn't angry. It was a kind of very precise,
firm.
It was firm. But I don't think there's anything wrong with a little. This guy's crazy.
My point is this.
no matter what she does, it's going to be perceived as angry.
For sure.
No matter how she
For
does,
sure.
no matter how she handles it.
For sure.
And like I said, there are other things. There are tons of domestic things that are happening in our country that needs to be addressed. But there are a lot of things around the world with these so-called strong men that the commander-in-chief needs to show up in her suits and her heels, honey. And
I know you want,
sure
but can I ask you, Bibi Netanyahu is committed not to have a ceasefire until Trump wins, right? So, I mean, how is that going to play in what you say to Gaza?
Hold on one second. Monique, go.
I'm sorry.
Everything that's been described is, if you could do a visual, she would like a Venn diagram, but I'm gonna aim the Venn diagram. I'm gonna aim for a visual.
Got the Venn diagram.
And the visual would be a pretzel.
Would be what?
It would be a pretzel for every single person here. And we all actually want her to win. Everybody here had something different that they want her to do. And it ends up being, let me entertain you. And so I hope she does none of it. I want her to be exactly who she is. I know that she's a prosecutor. She knows how. She ain't got to be told. She's a trial lawyer. She's experienced in defending her case. She's experienced in prosecuting a case. She's a senator. She knows how to conduct hearings. She knows how to examine. She is a vice president. She's gotten the daily briefing for the past 4 years. She knows what the foreign policy is. She knows more about it than any other person in the world except the president. So she's sitting in the sweet spot as far as I'm concerned. She is the right woman for this job. She's prepared to do this job. We spent all this time saying, well, she got to talk to them, and she got to talk to them, and she got to show them, and she got to show them. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a base voter. She can crack gum, roll her eyes, and it's not. We can spend an hour waiting for her to speak.
But Monique, she ain't talking to you tonight. She ain't talking to you tonight.
But so then that's why I'm saying erase it, because these things were for us. These things were for the base. I'm not talking about what the specific things that she needs to do. What I am saying is that the base that is watching ought not need something. The people.
No, that's actually not true. That's actually not true.
But see, this is what she gonna deal with tonight. I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
But you've been speaking a while.
Okay, but you can just agree once I'm done. What I am saying is that the people who are with her may have a list of things that they want to see so that they can be more excited about being with her, but there's nothing to prove to them. And then there are the undecideds, and the undecideds have their own agenda for the reasons and things that they are looking for. And then there are the people who are never going to be for her.
Exactly.
And she should not be angling to get to them. And then the last thing I'm gonna say is this. She is against a pathological. Well, I'm not closing. I'm just pausing. I'm pausing. I'm not finished. She is going against a pathological liar in the notion that she can refute the things that he's saying blow for blow is a fallacy.
So let me walk you through this
somebody
here.
who's debated for 40 years.
Let me walk you
can't
through.
be done.
Let me walk you
Walk me through it. Tell me what I don't know.
You're not going to refute him point by point because you'll be wasting all of your time.
That's right.
But you do have to refute lies and then pivot back to your point.
It's all going to be lies.
No, but hold up. We understand that.
Only lies.
But the reality is you still have to do that. Second of all, when you talk about tonight in terms of who you're speaking to, the percentage of undecideds is extremely small.
Amen.
That's not the issue. The undecideds are, do I sit on the couch or do I vote? And so there are things you're going to have to say. Yeah. So for instance, I hope she uses Tyreek Hill as an example of this man who wants to give cops 100% immunity for those type of actions.
You think she would go there?
I hope so, because here's why. If you look at the weakness of her numbers are not, her black numbers are not at their peak.
And then
one second, hold up. I'm talking.
You speaking?
I'm talking. Her Latino numbers are not there. Ron Brownstein made this point. He texted me this last night. I sort of disagree with him somewhat, but he said, well, go to my iPad, Henry, while playing it safe on immigration and crime could be a big risk for Harris. And he lays out in there a number of different things. I think, first of all, for me, I think that sucks her into a debate that Trump wants to have as opposed to one she needs to go. But you do have to send a signal to the folks who have been fed misinformation about black men she's put in jail, which we know is a lie. And recently, we all know that. We've all refuted that. but you have to also make clear, and I hope she says it, excuse me, I'm the one who wrote the George Floyd Justice Act.
I agree.
And this man wants to bring back stop and frisk. This man doesn't want to have any accountability with cops. And I hope she uses tonight to be able to say, under Biden-Harris, guess what has happened? We have held police accountable for their actions with our Department of Justice. I hope that happens. So I do think there are things that she has to say to undecideds who are choosing, do I get off the couch to back her, or do I pick this couch?
If it comes up.
No. I'm telling you, it's there in the numbers. We see
I'm
this.
saying if it comes up in the questions, it's
No.
90 minutes.
You don't have to wait for them to bring. No, you don't. She doesn't have. She doesn't have to wait for them to bring them up. And so you have. They're going to be.
Oh, but he's not.
No. First of all, I don't care about him. There are going to be moments in this debate where she cannot allow them to dictate the debate.
Yeah.
There are going to be moments where she has to say, literally, do the same thing he does. Whatever, I'm going somewhere else. So she's hold on 1 second. I'm going to Rebecca. Hold on, I'm going to Rebecca. She is going to have to pivot from their question and hit some things that she wants to make sure she hits in the 90-minute debate. Go.
Okay, so I'm going to speak from the perspective of a campaign manager. Whenever there's a high stakes debate and I'm leading my candidate and doing debate prep, going into that debate, one of the things I tell my candidates is, don't worry about the questions that you're being asked. Just know this is an opportunity for you to say what it is that you need to say.
Sustained.
So tonight, what she needs to focus on is speaking directly to the American people. Don't listen to the media spin, say, hey, you're not doing enough interviews.
Don't go in the weeds on policy.
It's 50-something days until Election Day. Ballots have been sent out already in certain jurisdictions. So she needs to talk specifically to the American people.
Absolutely.
Now, does she have to win? No. She just doesn't have that. She just can have a bad debate performance. But as we're talking in the weeds of different constituencies that the campaign side needs to start engaging, one of the sides that we have, one of the demographics we haven't talked about is Black men. We've literally talked about white women, Black women, we talk about Hispanics, Latinos, but to talk specifically to Black men, one thing that I'm seeing through the Harris campaign and even the down ballot campaigns, as they're texting and reaching out to Black men, they're not talking to Black men about specific issues that Black men have shown that they want to talk about and that they are engaging. Instead, they're saying, oh, we'll just send you the Black stuff. And the Black stuff has been heavily female dominated on the different issues of art that's being sent out to Black men. So we need, so Terrence Woodbury, many people have spent time with Black men and have identified the top issues that Black men care about. Black men need to be spoken to and talked to and engaged. And right now, what I even saw at the DNC, there was nothing for Black men there. And so that has to be course corrected on the campaign side.
When you're talking about an election of margins, it matters. Hear me, go to my iPad. Wendell Pierce was in, 1 second. Wendell Pierce was in Milwaukee this weekend, specifically for a Black Men for Harris event. He tweeted this. He said, Black men in Milwaukee turned out to challenge our campaign. Questions were answered. Policy was provided. Accomplishments acknowledged. Support was secured. Black men want to be heard. We came to listen. It made a difference. Thank you, Milwaukee. Thank you, Bronzeville. Vote to exercise your right of self-determination. Harris for president. Now, this is a photo. Now, why does that matter? I go back to 2022. 2022, 50,000 fewer people voted in Milwaukee than 2020. If those 50,000 people in Milwaukee vote in 2022, Lieutenant Governor of Wisconsin, Mandela Barnes, is the United States Senator because he lost the race by 26,000. It's true. And so what you're talking about, what everyone's talking about, this election is going to be an election on the margins. Georgia was what, 12,000? Arizona was what, 10,000? Wisconsin, Michigan, they were close as well. And so when you talk about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8,000, that can be the difference between winning and losing. And if you look at the data, what you're saying, it is there. It is sitting right there. Yes. And those Black men are saying, talk to us, not talk at us, talk with us, hear what we have to say. Ella Baker, she used to always tell the stick workers, listen, put your college clothes to the side, put your overalls on, and don't think those folks in those sharecroppers ain't smart. They may only have a second or third degree education, but they're smart. She says, listen to what they have to say and say, we're here to help you get what you want, not tell you what it is that you need. And those things actually have to happen. So her numbers have been improving. And the reality is this here, the race is flipped. The reason the numbers look different in North Carolina and Georgia is because of the increase in black voter sign up, young black women. We showed it, Tom Bonnier, I'm gonna show it in a second. Tom Bonnier showed this here. It was a 200+ increase in voter participation in terms of voter registration. But when you talk about the critical states, again, Michigan, when you say Wisconsin, you mean Milwaukee. When you say Pennsylvania, you mean Philadelphia. And then you talk about Georgia, North Carolina. Yes, black male vote is going to be critical because in the previous election, when Tom Tillis, 2020, U.S. Senate race, Tom Tillis got one re-election because he got 18% of black male votes because Democrats ignored rural North Carolina. And so, because he drafted off of Trump with his black male numbers. Tillis was reelected, even though Tom Tillis was the architect of voter suppression in North Carolina. So Democrats are going to have those discussions. It's going to be difficult. Hold tight one second. I'm going to go to a break. We come back. We're going to pick up more of our conversation here. Folks, the debate will be starting literally in 41 minutes. We've got some of our CBC members who are showing up here as well. Glad to see them here. Of course, their watch party is happening as we have our coverage here. So we're going to be hearing from some of them as well. You're watching special coverage on the Black Star Network of the ABC News presidential debate. We'll be right back.
Well, this was spicy.
He told us who he was.
Should abortion be punished? There has to be some form of punishment.
Then he showed us.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it, and I'm proud to have done it.
Now Donald Trump wants to go further with plans to restrict birth control, ban abortion nationwide, even monitor women's pregnancies. We know who Donald Trump is. He'll take control. We'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Next on the Black Tape with me, Greg Carr. There's a lot of talk about the inevitability of another civil war in this country. But on our next show, we'll talk to a noted author and scholar who says we're actually in the middle of one right now. In fact, Steve Phillips says the first one that started back in 1861, well, it never ended.
People carrying the Confederate flag, wearing sweatshirts saying MAGA Civil War, January 6, 2021, stormed the U.S. Capitol, hunted down the country's elected officials, built a gallows for the Vice President of the United States, and to block the peaceful transfer of power in this country.
On the next Black Tape, here on the Black Star Network.
In 2016, Donald Trump said he would choose only the best people to work in his White House. Now those people have a warning for America. Trump is not fit to be president again. Here's his vice president.
Anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. It should come as no surprise that I will not be endorsing Donald Trump this year.
His defense secretary.
Do you think Trump can be trusted with the nation's secrets ever again?
No. I mean, it's just irresponsible action that places our service members at risk, places our nation's security at risk.
His national security advisor.
Donald Trump will cause a lot of damage. The only thing he cares about is Donald Trump.
And the nation's highest ranking military officer.
We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator.
Take it from the people who knew him best. Donald Trump is a danger to our troops and our democracy. We can't let him lead our country again.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson Anderson that Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Devon Frank.
I'm Dr. Robin B., pharmacist and fitness coach, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, the ABC News presidential debate begins in 36 minutes. Our coverage, our pre-show coverage on the Black Star Network. Before we went to the break, actually, we were in the break, and Scott wanted to make a point. I was like, man, don't save it. Don't leave it in the locker room. Wait till you come back on the air. So make your point.
You caught the car because you always interrupt me. But to my colleague here, what was the
slow ass?
Fired up.
No, he just slow.
You did not finish your thought about the DNC and the presidential campaign talking to black men. Recent polling shows that the three top issues for black men, ironically, one is health care, maybe not so ironic, criminal justice reform, and the economy/jobs and stuff. So is the DNC talking to them specifically about those issues, or are they just sending them the black stuff?
They're sending them the black stuff. So for instance, I was talking to one of my friends who is an independent. He's 50 years old. He's a vet, black man. And so the text that he recently received from, I think, one of the congressional campaigns in a competitive congressional is, hey, so we're talking to black women and black femmes on reproductive health issues. Are you interested in showing up? So he texts back.
What?
So he texts back, and he texts them back, and he says, "Well, I care about these issues too. I identify as a black man." And they're like, "Oh yeah, well you're invited too." And he was like, "Well, that's not what you just text me to begin with."
Right.
So within the health issue that black men care about, part of it is reproductive health, because every human being has reproductive health issues, and even having reproductive justice on the ballot in Florida, in Arizona, those are issues that black men care about. Those are issues.
Actually, in Ohio, the group that voted at the highest rate for the Ohio ballot initiative were black men.
And so connecting just on this one issue, think about the DNC when they had different people on stage talking about their experiences with abortion, but also greater reproductive health. There was a black woman on that stage who was married. Her husband wasn't there with her, but the white woman was on stage with her white husband. Why aren't we including black men in the conversation about reproductive health? Because black men care about this issue
that we're not talking about.
Right.
And I'm gonna just go ahead and keep it a buck. I'm sorry, I'm about to interrupt.
Well, that's what the show called Unfiltered. Go. You ain't got to
All the
qualify.
brothers that I didn't talk to, they were like, okay, there's no way that a black man can show up with a white woman and be the president of the United States, but a black woman can show up with a white man and be the president of the United States. And the brothers that I've talked to outside of policy, that is a real issue.
Oh, it's off-putting.
Huh?
It's off-putting.
It is okay,
For
right?
sure.
It is off-putting. That's another thing.
Hold on.
It's not a policy thing that we
What's
can.
off-put?
Having a white husband is what they try.
Well, because here's what they say: Barack would never been able to be the president of the United States without
Oh, no,
black
Michelle saved, isn't it?
Okay.
And so, why is it true that VP can show up with her white husband?
Well, first of all, and here's what I'll say to every black man who's tripping on who she married to: Do your ass cheat? Did you cheat for Kobe Bryant? You ain't questioning.
You talking about us? You talking about them cats?
No. I ain't talking about us. I'm talking about all them. I'm talking about all them dudes out there who waiting in line for some Jordans. Y'all ain't questioning who Michael married to right now. They ain't questioning who the hell Kobe was married to. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No. Here's my whole point. Here's my whole point. If you gonna sit here and trip, if you gonna trip on who she married to, why your ass wearing the Kobe and Michael jersey?
But interracial marriage is not one of the top 3 voting issues, not a top 2 voting
It's a
issues.
conversation at the kitchen table.
Right.
All right,
It's a conversation, but when we're talking about issues that Black men have identified that they care about, we're seeing Black men missing in those conversations.
Yes.
What you're surveying on and what you're talking about at home with your friends and your family.
And what I'm saying is, if you ain't tripping on who Kobe was sleeping with, why you tripping on who she's sleeping with?
Is that as big an issue that would cause a black male voter, not to vote the Democratic ticket?
You got some.
Really? That would be enough.
If a Black male voter, like once again, I don't speak for Black men. I'm recounting what Black men are doing.
Yeah, I done heard some of that bullshit. Go ahead.
So if Black men are seeing other demographics being called out, my question is, why aren't Black men and their specific issues even having them? Why isn't that being called out?
But is that enough for them not to vote for Kamala Harris?
In
your opinion?
That is enough. That is enough for. That's enough for 1 or 2 percentages.
Really?
And if 1 or 2 percentages aren't showing up, that's going to be a problem. But that's any voter.
At the end of the day, she married to who she married. It ain't gonna change.
But no,
So
I'm not talking.
And you can do about it.
The Black men I'm talking to aren't talking about who. They might say, yeah, she's married to a white man.
I got it.
But that's not their issue. Their issue is when it comes to all these other policy issues that we're talking about, why aren't we including Black men in this policy conversation? And that's the one that you
right. And that particular point there goes to who is the person sitting in the position, who's picking, who's in commercials.
That's right.
Representation matters, and a lot of folk don't think that way. And that also goes to, listen, when you look at those numbers I showed you earlier, of that 12% of trying to explain to people, it was party was not specifically, and I've been yelling since 2012, y'all gonna have a problem if y'all on this issue. And remember, let me remind Democrats and said, y'all, unless y'all deal with this, you're gonna have a problem. And so what the Democratic Party has, what white Democratic leaders have been unwilling to address. You have a changing Black electorate. The further you get away from the civil rights, Black folks increasingly, the Gen Z, do not self-identify as Democrats, which means how you read different than how you read 65. And so Democrats, which also means they got a micro target, and those are the two things. We can just throw the blanket. Is what you micro target Black to